Hello, Megan. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear about everything. What's helpful to folks is to understand a little bit about your background and what you were trying to do, right? Because the PhD is nebulous and people are like, is my background good enough? Or what is what? So maybe you could share just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I finished my undergrad at Georgia Tech. So I have a material science engineering background. And I guess when I found FearlessGrad, I was working at the time for a company doing research and development. So still working in like a technical field. And I was playing with the idea of going back to school. I saw in my company, the people that had higher degrees had more interesting jobs. So it's something I would be interested in achieving and getting to, like working towards. And then on the side, I knew I wanted to change it up. Like I didn't want to stay at my current company forever. I wanted to be more involved in like higher level conversations, like strategic conversations of the technology at whatever company I was working in, while also being able to have a foot in the lab and a foot in like technical material. And I saw a good way to do that as like getting a PhD, getting the know-how of like how to properly conduct experiments, how to run a lab. I felt like that would open a lot of doors for me. And so I set up the consultation with you, explained my background, and then talked through what I saw myself doing in 10 years. And I saw two options, like one where I don't go back and get my PhD. And that required a lot of like around 10 years of going back and forth between different companies, different areas of certain companies to get where I wanted to be, or I do this degree, learn what I need to in a condensed period of time. And I felt like that would open more opportunities for me in the technical world. It pushed me to get the degree rather than stick it out.
Oh, awesome. And there's no one correct way. And there's not, and to your point, like we also just can't predict the future, right? You could stay at one company forever, or they could go bankrupt, or you could go do your PhD and hate it, right? There's a lot of unknowns. And so you have to make the best decision with the information you have at hand, which is what you did. Do you have any research experience outside of your current role, like that you did in undergrad or anything?
I did like a semester of research in undergrad, but in undergrad, I was so focused on going into the corporate world. Like I knew that was what I wanted to do. So I had very little research experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, joke's on me. Back to school.
Well,
No, not really.
that's also good to know because I think some people are like, I don't have 4 publications, or I didn't do 3 summer internships in the lab or something, and they get like worried. So
Yeah, one of my internships was in sales, like technical sales for manufacturing equipment. Totally not like technical in terms of lab research, but that is a talking point to so many people that like working in the sales world, it helps you convey your point better. You can talk to people and convince them things. So even if it's not directly related to research, it still helped my case for sure when I was meeting with professors and like program directors, and like they were asking how I would fit into the program. I could talk more about just working in the lab. So I think it helped me.
oh, hell yeah, it did. Yes, that's so good. Because they are looking for interesting people who can bring things to the program, not just like a robot. And that's exactly what you did. Okay, so you're thinking about doing your PhD and all that. What was like the frustration like when you were trying to solve that problem on your own? Like, what did that look like?
The coolest part about trying to go back to school is looking at the different programs. So I was just like aimlessly researching colleges like for hours at a time. And that was like all I was doing basically. I was researching a lot of different professors, different programs, but it definitely was really overwhelming because if you're not super focused from the start of what you want to do, there are so many programs that are amazing and cool out there. So if you're trying to narrow it down to 20, it doesn't really help you that much. So that was like aimless research of different programs. And you're very heavily swayed, at least I was very heavily swayed by my undergrad experience. You have ideas in your head of schools that are really good and schools that you want to go to. And does that necessarily mean it's a good fit for you for grad school? In my case, no. So that was the initial steps.
That's interesting too. Yeah. Because it could get to the heart of it, which is everything on the internet is marketing. right? At some level, it's, hey, come here, buy here, use this product. And so when you're doing the same thing, you're researching schools, it's that too. And you're trying to understand beyond the shiny glass wall, like what it's going to be like. So then what made you decide to work with us? What was the driver?
I'm not a naturally organized person. So working with FearlessGrad, the idea of having kind of step-by-step what to do for me on my own time was very appealing. Like how to get into a PhD program. I remember Googling that question, like how to get into a PhD program. And there was like a wiki like page on it. And it was like, okay, step one, do this. It was so confusing because every program is slightly different. And if you don't know now, I feel like I know so much. I can talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. But at the time, like funding looks different at every single program. That was a big thing for me. Not something that your program hones in on. If you need funding for your program, let's get that for you. How to ensure that for yourself. When you reach out to professors, what's an important thing you need to be looking at? When you look at a program, like how do you know it's a good fit for you? These simple questions that just don't become that simple when you're staring at the application. That was what drew me to FearlessGrad, because I can always reach out and ask. I can look at your videos and be like, what's an important thing to make sure I put in my email to this professor? So that was what did it for me. I felt like the price was very affordable to be able to do it on my own time.
Yeah, because everybody has busy lives. So we purposely make our training like condensed and then give you like all the support tools, right? Like you said, just reach out in Slack or whatever. And then that's the point you should be asking questions, right? Your point is valid. It is a little confusing, so you should have questions probably along the pathway if you're really doing it.
I definitely didn't use all the materials. You have so many materials. I definitely pick and chose what I wanted to do and focus on. Basically what I had questions on, I would watch the video on. If I didn't have a question, I felt pretty good about that section and I would skip it. At the time, it was actually crazy. I was getting a master's certificate and I was working full time. I was doing classes at night as well as working all day and then trying to do my PhD stuff. It was so stressful, but it was good.
So that's what you use us for. You use us for saving your time and energy.
Absolutely.
Because like you didn't have any. Yeah. Okay. How many hours do you think you spent? I know it's hard, but you can't say like per week because I'm sure some weeks you spent some and some you spent zero. Do you have an idea of like how that worked for you?
I definitely spent a few hours a week. Yeah, a few hours a week. And you're right. Some weeks was nothing and some weeks was like a lot more. Once I had sent all my emails to professors that I was interested in, it was almost like a huge sigh of relief because that was so time consuming for me to draft those emails. And everyone's different, but for me, like sending an important email causes me so much stress. So once I sent that out, the time actually decreased till the end when I was like finalizing my essays and stuff.
Absolutely.
So like that beginning push and that end push were like the most, but in the middle, it was like just a couple hours a week.
I love it. Yes, because you do all that legwork up front. So that way, you have these good conversations and then your writing becomes easier. So I bet you were able to write a lot more effectively and quicker than had you not done that first step.
Absolutely. And that there was one template that you have that's like building your essay, like the basic and imagining growing. And that actually helped me through.
Yes. Good. Like, you're right. A blank page is really not helpful. Just type. We all know how to write. Clearly, you're talented, you're a professional. It's not that you don't have the skills. It's that the options are endless, right? Like, what do you put there in that? Okay. How did the connecting go for you? Like, reaching out to faculty and things?
Connecting went very well. So I was pretty fortunate that I work for a company that can relate to a lot of these organizations. So I think that definitely helped respond back to me. Rather than some random girl asking about someone's research. You do get a response from that, obviously, but coming from a corporation, it's a lot easier for them to be like, oh, they didn't get money from them. That was also a double-edged sword, because in some companies, I'd go to give my pitch, and they're giving their pitch to me. Sorry, that's not actually what this is. But so I had good luck with getting responses. I think the more emails I sent and the more professors I talked to, the better everything got. The other thing I did was go to a conference. So the conference was on plastic recycling and upcycling, which is what I wanted to do my PhD in. Tons of different programs were there, all showcasing their research. And I basically got to talk to tons of professors in person and learn about their research, which I could then say, okay, that sounds so interesting, or, ooh, their website made them sound way different than this actually was. I did not look at catalysts for 5 years, so that helped a ton. That I would recommend that to anyone.
I love it because it's like there is a bar to entry, right? Like you may have to travel or something, but if you're going to spend the next 4 years somewhere, why not? It's interesting because some people will do it on the back end. Like once they get offered, and we'll talk about this, like then they go travel to all the schools. I'm not saying you have to visit all your schools before you even apply, but if there's an opportunity, like you said, to meet a lot of people together, why not?
And visiting schools in person, which again, if you're able, definitely helps you get a vibe of the school, the location. Some schools, like on a map, I'm like, oh, this is close to this city. I was like, cannot live here because it's my life. I'm not just going back to school. I've been working for 2 years. I have high expectations of my PhD program and what I want to do. So I needed the program to be able to accompany that.
Hell yeah. Okay. What part of the FearlessGrad program did you think was most helpful or most surprising to you?
The templates were definitely super helpful for me. Again, I'm super organized. I have a jumbled mind. So being able to put everything down and organize my thoughts was super key to then help everything else flow. The confidence, I think, was a huge one. Being able to send a professor that you are Googling over an email seemed crazy at first, but then you're a part of this community that's all doing it. Everyone is sending these professors these emails, like you can do it too. That definitely helped me get out of my own head and be like, this is what everyone has to do this. So let's do it. You're not special. I'm special, but you can do this too. So that was huge. Yeah, I think those were the two probably biggest things for me. Like I said before, I didn't have a lot of time. So just condensing everything I could into super efficient steps to then hit submit on the application. And I started early. I started probably like September, I think, which actually that was like a perfect time. But in my mind, I was like, oh, not applying till like December. But I used all of them. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you. I love that. And I love that like the confidence was so helpful because you guys are so powerful, so smart, so talented. But if you're not confident enough to showcase that, it won't be shown. And then we don't get to create those results. Good for you. Okay, where did you apply? Where are you going? How did that whole process work for you?
Okay, so I was very condensed. I applied to 6 schools. I applied to only schools. I said if I only got into one school, I would go there. So everywhere was like a good fit. If I only got into one school, I would go there. And I had really good luck. I got into 5 out of 6 schools. Yeah, so I was very lucky. Okay, let's see if I can name them all. The University of Delaware, UMass Amherst, UMass Lowell, University of Utah, UC San Diego, and UPenn. UPenn was the only school I did not get accepted to. I know, it's whatever, what can you do? I think it's a blessing in disguise though. I ended up choosing to go to UMass Amherst. Their program is Polymer specific. So some of them were material science programs. Some of them were, one of them was actually like a joint material science oceanography program, which was like amazing. Some were chemical engineering with polymer focused research. So I ended up choosing like a polymer specific entire program. Cool. And yeah, I think narrowing it down was difficult, but I had a lot of different factors. Actually, another template that was really helpful that helped me decide was the Excel sheet with the drop downs of what sections am I excited about and what weight do I got? So like how important is location to me? Obviously, San Diego sounds amazing. I live in New Jersey. I can't believe people live in New Jersey when San Diego exists. Yeah. But the program didn't really fit my needs for what I wanted to do in 10 years. So I had to weigh that in, as exciting as San Diego would have been. So yeah, so I ended up choosing UMass Amherst. The people that I met there, like the students, were all I could see them as being my friends. That was important to me. They enjoyed similar things. It's in Western Mass, so it's mountainous. Everyone liked skiing. I grew up skiing. close to things. My family is close by. A lot of pros, not a lot of cons. Fully funded. The funding was like the least complicated, basically just guaranteed for 5 years. So that was important to me. Yeah, I just fit all the boxes. Yeah.
Congrats. That's amazing. How do you feel?
Oh, I'm super excited. I think at first I was sad, I think, to say no to some of the programs since I had gotten into so many, which, I'm not complaining, but since I had gotten into so many, I loved all of them. Like, I applied to all of them because I loved all of them. I met the professors that would take me in. They were all fantastic. And then saying no, I'm choosing someone else felt so sad. Like, I felt bad. Like, I wish I could go to all of the programs.
Yeah.
So that was sad at first, but I'm just like super excited. I found a place to live. I'm scouting out like gyms in the area, like where to walk my dog, like things like that. And I'm just like super excited.
Yay. Awesome. Any advice you would give to folks? Or what advice would you give yourself like a year ago? Because a year ago, you didn't know what was going to happen.
The biggest mistake I made was I studied for the GRE for like months. And I'm not a good test taker. So I would say if you're a good test taker and you can ace the GRE and it'll showcase how awesome you are and smart you are, like definitely do it. But for me, it was just a waste of time and like a huge cause of like stress and money. So I would go back and tell myself, like, don't stress about GRE. Because that's not my strengths. Like, my strengths come from my work experience. My strengths come from like my letters of recommendation of people I've worked closely with for years. So yeah, one GRE test would not have made or broke my application. And I wish I saw that a little more clearly earlier on.
Oh, okay. I love that. That's super valid because I think, because it's something that people can cling to, right? It's a number. So it's tangible. So it has this like false sense of safety of if I get this, but it doesn't even work like that in undergrad anymore, right? Like undergrad, to get into a fancy school, you need a baseline score, but that's really not the case for a PhD. And as we know in undergrad, even if you get that baseline score, there's no guarantee. It's helpful, like you said. If you could showcase that skill, that's great, but it's not like the end all be all.
Yeah, and I think I also started thinking of applying to these schools more as like a job application than applying to a school. Because I will be working. I might take some classes, but the more I talk to students, I'm like, how are the classes? They're like, classes? Like, nothing. The classes are nothing. Like, just wait till the research. And I think that helped as well. Where would I work? Where would I work best? What environment will help me learn in this working environment rather than like school environment? That has to help me.
Oh, I love that. And it is different for different programs. Like some programs, like the first year, everybody's just taking classes like that. It's like very prescriptive. And other programs, it's choose your own adventure. And yes, but from my experience too, the classes were like back burner. They were helpful to teach you some things or stretch you, right? You might not have a lot of computer modeling skills. You might take a class like in that, which will open you up a bit, but it's not like you care if you get an A. It doesn't matter at that point. It's just something you might find useful.
Help you with the research.
Yes, exactly. What else? Anything you would share for others who are starting their process or anything like that?
Oh my gosh, I would definitely say if you're on the fence about going to grad school, you should definitely, I'm not there yet actually, I'm not going to tell people to go, but I think I made the right decision in doing this for myself. I definitely, when I was looking at whether to do it or not, I thought ahead to myself, okay, so if I don't do this and I look back, am I going to be disappointed I never even gave it a shot? You don't lose anything by trying to do this. Which that's not super inspiring, actually. Like, it's not like you're applying to a program where you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. So I'm not losing anything. If anything, I'll gain this experience, even if it doesn't work out. Even if I get to my PhD program and I'm like, this is not what I thought. It's not for me. I'm still gaining from that. So I think that's how, at the end of the day, even if you're like toying with this idea, you're not really losing anything.
I love that. I'm like, you're saying you trust yourself either way. Like even, and that's what I really try to help my people do is like, no matter where you go, you take you with you. And so you can influence the environment and you can influence your experience in those places. And like, I want you guys to be like confident and capable to navigate all the ups and downs that are going to happen in your PhD and then post, right? Because that's all that it is, right? Is new experiences that you're going to encounter again and again. And then just how do you rise to those? And what do you want out of them? How do you work with people?
And that's a huge thing. Every PhD program actually that I talk to, every potential advisor I talk to, I was like, how much can I influence this research? Because that was big for me. I don't want to just do a project that someone else picked for me. I wanted to influence the work I was doing. Every single one of them said, however you want to influence this project, it's your project. You are in charge of this. Like, we want people that can think outside of the box. We want to do new research. So if you can think of something exciting and new, you will be able to influence that project in that way. And that kind of hit it home for me, where I was like, I'm going to be doing some super cool stuff because I'm going to be able to choose what I'm going to be doing. That's so cool.
That was also my experience and I love that you are like excited to do it. Some people would be like, oh no, like it's all on me. And it's not, right? There's always support and structure around you.
And programs are different too.
But I love how excited you are to take the reins. And like, of course, you're going to ramp up, right? It's not like you're just going to walk in and they're going to be like, here you go, bye. So I love that you're like seeing it for what it is, an opportunity. And like, you're going to just take it and run with it, which is awesome. Very cool. What else? Was there anything challenging through this process that was like, well, you're like, or anything like that?
I think the initial like meets and greets with the professors, that was challenging. Just because you're navigating like a social situation where you want something from them and you can't really give much back at that initial stages of, tell me about your research. Do you have space in your lab? You feel like I can respond. But I think that from the more that I talk to professors, the more I talk to students, the less awkward it felt. These professors like have to fill their programs. And so they want to talk to you. They want to see if you're a good fit for their program. And that was difficult as well. If there was no space in the program, or if you were really excited about something and it actually wasn't what you thought it was, that was challenging to then, okay, how can I find more programs that are different? Regroup, exactly. That's challenging. I also think sticking to what you want to do is also challenging. I am very passionate about what I want to study. But you learn about all these cool programs, all these professors that are super, maybe not famous, but like well-known and doing cool stuff. And you're like, maybe I could do that. Maybe I can do that. But at the end of the day, like, I'm doing this program, like, I am going back to my PhD for a reason, for something that I not only have background in, but I'm passionate about. You have to stick with what you're doing.
But no,
Yeah.
you're hitting it so spot on, because almost everybody coming back is multi-passionate, because it's just very hard to only care about one thing. And yeah, I think you're hitting it spot on, and you're going to continue to run into that in your PhD, because you'll meet new people and you'll have new ideas, which isn't a problem. Like, things should evolve, but you will have to pick and choose how you evolve. Yeah, for like my multi-passionate people, I basically say, what's the most, right? Like, maybe you got 80% focus here, 20 here. Let's focus on the thing you got the 80% on. Let's focus there. And when you get there, you can always explore a bit, right? Because I'd rather you get somewhere where you actually have a foothold versus like somewhere where you're going to be very a fish out of water in some spaces.
Yeah. And I want my PhD to not last 8 years. Like, I am in it to get in and then leave. So if I'm like all wishy-washy about what I want to study, I'm sure it'll take me a little longer to finish.
Yes. I think you'll be great. I have no doubt that you will crush it very effectively. There's just, you have everything set up to be super successful. Good for you. Would you recommend FearlessGrad to others? If so, why?
Oh, absolutely. I think for a lot of the reasons I said at the beginning were time efficiency, organizing your thoughts, prioritizing parts of your application. All of those things just became so crystal clear when I joined FearlessGrad. People get into PhD programs by themselves all the time, but if you are super confident in your application, I think that it shows when they read it. I 100% recommend the FearlessGrad program. I think it helped me a ton in making me confident about my application. And I'm way more excited now about going to grad school because I know a little bit more about what to expect. I have a community of people who are doing similar things that are also excited about similar things. I definitely recommend it.
That's awesome. Yay. Good for you. I'm so excited for you. Thank you for that. And I'm so happy that you got so much out of it and that you're getting to do exactly what you want and that you know that you're capable to handle all of the challenges. And so thanks. Yeah.
I'm excited. Maybe if I have like grants applications in the future, I'll hit up FearlessGrad, be like, hey guys, any advice? And I'm sure someone will respond and give me advice. So it's really nice to know.
Oh, yeah. That's really important too. Like all the writing skills you gained, you're going to keep using them and create more opportunities for yourself. Awesome. Okay. I really appreciate your time. Anything else you want to just share in general or anything you want to say to other folks?
No, just good luck. And I think I had good luck, like 1 year of going into FearlessGrad and applying. I think that with this program, you're just setting yourself up for success much faster. So I think that's really important to consider when joining a program like this.